Assalamu alaikum guys, welcome to Daryeel Kitchen, delicious food made simple. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make sabayat. Sabayat is type of soft flat bread made from flour, sugar, little salt and oil. It's crispy on the outside and soft on the inside. It can be eaten on its own with little oil and sugar. Otherwise, you can serve with suqar or meat stew or any type of curries of your choice. Now let's start with our ingredients. So the first thing that we need is some flour, little bit of sugar. We're gonna need some salt, some oil, and this is just sunflower oil, and I have here some hot milk. And that's all the ingredients that we need. So what we're gonna do now is we're going to go ahead and get a large bowl, tip all the flour in the bowl, and then we're gonna add our sugar, add a little bit of salt, and then just mix everything. And then we're going to add a couple of tablespoons of oil. This is what makes the pastry or the sabayat very flaky. And then we're going to add our milk slowly and always add in stages. Once we add the milk in stages, we're going to just keep mixing, and once the dough becomes all together, you want to take it out and place on the kitchen counter. The most important thing of sabayat is to make sure the dough is kneaded really well, and I always try to knead the dough for at least good 7 to 9 minutes. You can use a machine. You're also going to need some flour for dusting, so I've got a little bit of flour on the side, and that's what I'm going to be using for the kitchen counter. So just knead the dough really well for a few minutes, and that's what makes your sabayat soft, and the oil and everything that we've put together is what makes it flaky later on. So knead really well, and it's quite fun to do this. If you have a machine, you can use the machine. But I love to make things, especially anything to do with dough. I love to try and use my hands as much. And you can see you just want to work the dough really well. And you will notice after you knead the dough for about 5 to 7 minutes, you can see the dough is becoming really soft. And sabayat dough, the secret is you start with a soft dough, and that's why the dough, like when you make the sabayat, it becomes all soft. As you can see, the dough is now really nice and soft. I'm just gonna put some oil in my hand and just apply on the dough, and we're gonna let the dough sit about 15 to 20 minutes just to let it rest, and just apply some oil in the bowl as well. Cover, and then we're going to let this sit now. Once the dough is rested, place on the kitchen counter and shape the dough as a log, and then divide into 6 equal pieces. Once you cut the dough into 6 equal pieces, now shape each piece into a ball. Now get a tray and apply some oil and set this aside for now. Next, we're going to roll out one of our dough pieces. Just apply some flour on the kitchen counter. So now you want to go ahead and roll out the dough. It can be a circle shaped or a slightly square shape as well. As long as it's nice and thinly, that's the most important. So once we've done that, we're going to apply some oil, and applying this oil is really important, is what helps the sabayat later on puff up. So once we apply the oil, you want to go ahead and fold. So what you do is you get one side and just place it in the middle, and then do the same so you kind of overlap, and then drizzle a little bit of oil again. And then we're going to fold our dough, so just fold in just like so. And then that's our first sabayat done. We're going to let this sit aside until we finish with the rest of our dough. Sabayat, as you can see, might look really complicated when people say sabayat. Everything that's delicious you might think is really hard to make, but you see I've only used simple ingredients, and I would definitely say it's not hard. It's something that anyone can do, and just follow in terms of the process. Just try and practice and you will definitely get this. There's different ways of method of making sabayat. This is the way I make, and I find this one way really simple. In terms of ingredients, it always comes out perfect. If, for example, you don't like to add milk, you can add just hot water, and that works perfectly as well. I wanted to show you guys another method of making sabayat. It's almost the same, but it's slightly different shape. So what you do is you roll the dough into a long rectangle, and then you just want to apply some oil and roll everything just like you're rolling cinnamon rolls, and then just make a swirl just like so. And this one is perfect if you want to have a perfect circle sabayat. So if you do that shape, your sabayats tend to turn out into circle. If you do the first method I showed you earlier, the sabayat tends to turn into a square shaped. So whichever way you make, the sabayat will always end up being perfect. Now it's time to make our sabayat. So the first thing you want to do is apply some dusting on the kitchen counter, and then you want to roll out the sabayat. And the way I always do this is get the first sabayat that you've rolled, get that one first. So always you're doing so they're resting in stages. So get that one and then roll out gently. This stage can be a little bit tricky just because you have the layers, so you want to make sure the layers stay together. So the way I do is just constantly keep applying some dusting of flour, and that helps. As soon as the dough is rolled out and it's into a nice circle or square shaped, you want to apply some, get a pan, apply a little bit of oil, and then place the sabayat on there. And as you can see, there's some bubbles appearing. As soon as you see that, drizzle with a little bit of oil or brush with some oil, and then we're going to turn our sabayat. We're going to flip it over, and this can take about a minute. It's also optional, you can cover, and this just speeds up the process. And you can see there's loads of beautiful bubbles appearing on top already. And then now we're going to flip the sabayat over. And then you just want to make sure you press it down so the sabayat can cook really well. And then as you can see, our sabayat is done, and this can take about a minute on each side, a minute and a half on each side. And the sabayat should be nice and crispy, and it should be soft on the inside. So now I'm going to carry on and finish the rest of the sabayat, and then I'm going to show you guys the end result. Before we finish, I wanted to show you how our swirled sabayats are going to look like. So you do the same method, apply enough dusting of flour and then just roll out the dough. And this one automatically tends to turn out into a nice circle shaped. So you just keep pressing. This is really important, and this is what allows the sabayat to cook through really well. So as soon as you get nice golden color on both sides, the sabayat is done. And today's recipe, actually, I'm going to be serving this sabayat as a roll. So after this recipe, I will release another recipe, which is a spicy chicken filling, and that's how we're gonna serve the sabayat. These are this sabayat is really delicious. You can have it different ways, but I wanted to show you guys another alternative that you can do, especially since Ramadan is here. It would be a great way for you to enjoy this as an iftar. So for this recipe, it's only making 6 sabayats. If you like some more, you can always double the recipe. So our sabayat is done, and as you can see, it's really nice and golden color. It's very flaky and soft at the same time. Thank you for watching this video, and until we meet next time, keep cooking, keep sharing. Assalamu alaikum.